This Kirblog topic was suggested by Jacob Tucker. If you'd like to suggest topics for videos like these, and if you want to hear me record them in my community Discord server before they release, consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/Kirbifer. This is a Kirblog about a bunch of movies made by Walt Disney Animation, 100 years of childhood memories, and a bunch of other ones I made as an adult. I would have used Wish Upon a Star, but once, many moons ago, with actually the lovely and talented Mr. Michael Ruacco, I recorded a Kirblog about my top 10 favorite Disney animated features all the way back in 2016. I recorded that. I'll link that below. But Jacob wanted to ask for my thoughts about all of my favorite Disney animated movies, because for those of you who I don't already know, but I'm sure you all do, it is the 100th anniversary of Disney animation, with the release of Wish, which I've not seen yet, but also with the release of Once Upon a Studio, the animated short that has little cameo appearances and stuff from characters from all of the Walt Disney animated movies that have come out over the years. And watched it twice, made me cry twice. So got into a little bit of the spirit of things with that. And so I figured, you know what I would do to kind of differentiate this one, as opposed to just talking about a bunch of my favorites, because I've kind of done that already. I'm going to go through the entire, in chronological order, every single Disney animated movie that I've ever seen. There are a bunch that I've not seen before. So those I'll be skipping over, but I will mention each of them. I've got a little list in front of me from the Wikipedia article of the list of Disney theatrical animated feature films. But to start with, so I was very fortunate that growing up, I was exposed to a lot of great classic animation stuff in general. This was at a time where the classic Looney Tunes were airing on basically every channel you could possibly imagine. They were playing on Nickelodeon at the time. So I saw a lot of Warner Brothers cartoons from birth. And my two older sisters, Allison and Melissa, they were big, Disney fans when they were growing up. And so we had quite a big Disney movie collection on video when we were, growing up and everything. When I was very young, I'm talking like, I don't know, anywhere from like 1 to 5 years old or something. And I do remember specifically, we had kind of a mix of like the actual VHS releases back when we had those big, plastic clamshell VHS containers back in the day, because they would re-release these movies on home video many times in different ways, in different forms, and different formats and stuff. And also, I know that there were a bunch of them that we had taped. I don't know. I don't think they were necessarily taped off of like airing on TV or anything. I think it was specifically that they might have, in the old days of pirating, of how they would do this, is they would rent a videotape and then record it on a VCR, on another VCR somehow. I don't know how they combined this, but they would make copies of those videos by doing that. And of course, the actual quality of the tapes would be a little, not quite as good looking, obviously, but we had a whole bunch of them. We had like so many classic Disney movies on tape back in that day. And I continued to collect a few of them as I was getting older and stuff, and certain ones that I wanted to own later on DVD and things. But funnily enough, if I'm recalling correctly, what may have been, if not possibly Thomas the Tank Engine before this, and I think that it might have even maybe be after this, I think that my very first like hyperfixation obsession as a little kid, possibly the very first one, was, funnily enough, of all things, the very first Disney animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think that the Seven Dwarf characters in particular might have been what imprinted on my brain as, hey, you're going to like rainbow colors and assortment of different colors for all your main characters, distributed across a bunch of, a little team of them and everything. I think that literally might have been the reason that I got way into that. So, and specifically, it's funny because even it had some scary stuff in it, Snow White in the forest with the crazy trees and stuff. And then the way that they drew her, where she looks kind of scary as she's screaming and running away. And then the evil witch getting, crushed by the boulder and everything. But even then, I was so in love with the story and the movie in general that like the scary parts didn't make me shy away from enjoying it as much as I did. And particularly, I don't know what it was specifically, and I'll never be able to go back and understand it. But my first favorite character of anything, if I'm right about remembering that this was my first hyperfixation, it was Dopey. I just wanted to be Dopey the Dwarf. I literally had like an oversized, like I looked like number 3 from Kids Next Door. I had like the oversized, green sweatshirt and everything with the sleeves that would go over my my hands and stuff. And I think my dad or my mom like stitched me like a purple hat that was like a Seven Dwarfs hat that I think I probably wore out publicly and shouldn't have because it looked silly, and I'm sure I embarrassed my family a lot. But I have very vivid memories of watching that as a very, very young child, seeing that movie, and probably watching it over and over and over again because it was just so fascinating. And I think I'm sure that it must have been the very first animated movie that I ever saw, just simply, as a result of that. And I think there's something kind of nicely poetic about the fact that it was my first, and that it was also, I didn't know until many years later, it was the very first Disney animated feature. And so that kind of opened the floodgates a little bit with the Disney fascination. So we had Pinocchio as well, and watched that a fair number of times as a kid. That's one that I haven't gone back to as much. I won't dwell too much on that because I covered quite a bit of my thoughts on that sort of thing with the review of Del Toro's Pinocchio film, which if you haven't seen that, you should check that out as well. That was a month or two ago I did that. But that one also didn't quite scare me. It's funny. I always think of specifically how a lot of the moments in some of these movies, even if they're not like really scary, like they're not like horror movie scary, they're still scary enough to imprint on kids a little bit. And Pinocchio didn't really have that kind of impact on me necessarily. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a huge favorite of mine necessarily. I think I liked Figaro because he was a cat, and I liked cats a lot when I was a kid. that might have been. I had a friend at the time that had a black and white cat, I think also named Figaro, if I'm not mistaken, which was cute. Fantasia, sad to say, and I'm sure this is probably no surprise to people, I did not appreciate Fantasia until I went to animation college. Funnily enough, thanks to Ruako, shout out to him, because that was his favorite Disney movie growing up, and I think it was the thing that inspired him to want to become an animator specifically. But all I was in it for, the only enjoyment that I really got out of Fantasia was the Mickey Mouse segment with the Sorcerer's Apprentice stuff. All the other segments, I just was bored by. I didn't care that they were these beautiful, amazing works of art. I did not appreciate the art and majesty of Fantasia until many, many years later. And although I will say one thing that stuck with me with Fantasia, and I'm going to real quick check the length of it. Okay, it's 126 minutes. I don't know why. Maybe my mom or dad got this wrong or whatever when that was the case. But I remember growing up thinking that Fantasia was 3 hours long, and it's not. It's 2 hours, which is not that big of a deal, but maybe to a child that was like ungodly long. And I just remembered, like, if something took 3 hours long at any point in my life, I would always be like, oh, that's like, Fantasia long. It's 3 hours long. And now I'm just realizing as I go and I look over, like, oh, it's only 2 hours. And I'm sure I had that revelation in college too when I rewatched it and was like, oh, cool, now I actually get this and appreciate this, and it's beautiful. So yeah, it's fantastic. I have not seen The Reluctant Dragon before. I don't think I have. If I did, I might have seen like clips of it or something very briefly, but I don't think I've seen it as a full film before. Dumbo we had growing up. I did enjoy Dumbo quite a bit. I remember that was probably one of the first movies that made me like not full on cry, but definitely feel bad for an animated character, like feel like really sympathetic because of just the horrible stuff that Dumbo goes through over the course of the film. Weirdly enough, also, even though this is a pretty notorious one, I was not freaked out or scared by the pink elephants on parade thing. That did not, freak me out. Apparently that was quite a common one for a lot of people over the years, but no, I think I just thought it was cool. And kind of like Pinocchio, it wasn't one that left like a tremendous impact on me necessarily. But I did enjoy it. I think we rewatched it in animation school when I went to SVA. That might have been one of the ones, because also between them showing us movies in some of our animation history classes and also being roommates and friends with Rocco throughout college and him just like re-showing me more Disney movies and stuff over time, reacquainting myself with that and remembering a lot of things and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen Saludos Amigos before, to my recollection. I have seen the Three Caballeros. So I think that Jose, the parrot, was in Saludos Amigos first, but I didn't see him until sometime later with Three Caballeros. Never saw Victory through Air Power as well. If I've ever seen anything of that, it might have been through Rocco at best. But Three Caballeros, I think I have seen twice in my life. The biggest thing I took away from that was I liked Donald, Jose, and I need to remember the name of the third character that he was friends with. Panchito, the red kind of like rooster looking guy. I like the three of them. I sadly don't remember much about the live action segments, which I know is really lame to admit that. But I love the animated segments with them. I was a child and didn't have any appreciation for anything culturally otherwise. I liked Jose a lot. I thought he had a cool design. I thought he was a fun kind of character and stuff. And I recall, this is a weird thing. I had a childhood friend that I hung out with that was like, I think a state away, and we'd go and see him and his family, like, every like few months, a couple times a year or something like that. And at that place, I very distinctly remember seeing those like wafers. I forget what they're called. Those kind of wafer sticks. And I don't know if they're like cinnamon or something, but like to me, they kind of reminded me of like cigars. And I had one in my mouth and I was pretending to be Jose because I just thought that looked kind of cool. Little did I know that I would realize later, many years later, that cigars are disgusting and I hate the smell of them beyond comprehension. So Make Mine Music. Don't think I've seen that before. I don't have any recollection of it, so I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it. I have seen Song of the South once. I think that I watched that in college. I was definitely familiar with Zippity Doo Dah growing up. And I never went on Splash Mountain, which it's so funny because as much as people joke about, oh, they bury Song of the South, they don't want you to know about it. And yet Splash Mountain is a Song of the South ride at every Disney theme park ever made. But I didn't go on Splash Mountain until, I don't know, maybe the last like 5 or 6 years or so at Disneyland out here in California. So I've seen it. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I think I was too stupid to understand what about it was considered offensive or racist. That's not to say that I don't deny if there's like justifiable reasons as to why they don't, they're not happy with it and people weren't happy with it or otherwise. But I think I just didn't understand it because I was probably just too stupid like that. But I liked all the Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear and Brer Fox, Brer stuff. I thought that was cute. And I like those characters. But that's about all I have to say about it. I know I've seen it in full once at least. Fun and Fancy Free. I think I've also only ever just seen I've seen bits of it. I've seen bits of that because I think it's like individual shorts. I think that's where like the one with the giant and the beanstalk comes from, if I'm not mistaken. So I've seen probably parts of it. Maybe I've even seen it in full before once, but I don't remember enough about the specifics of it to have much to say. I do remember also thinking it was kind of funny that like Jiminy Cricket was just in it, even though it wasn't like a Pinocchio movie, because I figured, oh, okay, it's like shorts about the different other Disney characters and stuff, but Mickey is Mickey and all the others. But then like, oh, Jiminy Cricket's there, which maybe that might have been why why Jiminy got thrown into Kingdom Hearts as like more than just a Pinocchio character was because of Fun and Fancy Free. I shrug, couldn't tell you. Melody Time and So Dear to My Heart. Don't think I have seen either of those to my recollection. I don't know anything about them even from looking at their posters or real quick, so those might have been a couple that I've missed out on. I have seen, however, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I did not see those until college, and I do distinctly remember that was a movie as a pair of stories that I did. I did watch with Rocco. So Mike Rocco, those of you who don't know, Mike Rocco is a friend of mine who I went to college with. He's an animation artist and a storyboard artist and stuff on for WB. He's worked on many Looney Tunes series, and he was a fellow animator on some of the old Nintendo collabs that we did way many years ago in college and a little bit after that. And I worked with him on a few different projects here and there. He's a great guy. He's my neighbor actually as well. He had a collection of so many Disney films that he basically was able to extract off of DVDs and any releases he could find QuickTime files of every Disney movie you could possibly imagine. And because with QuickTime video files, you could go frame by frame, he studied the animation very, very intimately for all those films. And actually, that was, I think I didn't fully know how to like describe what they were. I sort of understood the fundamentals of them. I think I called them like swooshing or something, but I learned what animation smears are, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a technique that we use for animation where like if there's drawing in between two key sort of poses that's super fast. Like say, for example, the way that classic Sonic the Hedgehog has that sort of like figure eight sort of blurry motion that are in place of where his feet is to show that he's going really fast, that he's going quickly at a relatively quick pace. Ironic because Mac is visiting right now, actually. Shout out to Sonic Prime. So we use a little smearing animation like that to indicate like super quick movement in 2D. And Ichabod and Mr. Toad is actually where I learned that was the term for that. And I looked closely at like there would be a part of his body that was kind of on like ones on like one frame animation, and then other parts of him that were on two or threes, to be a little bit pace out the way that his body was moving with Ichabod and everything. So that was cool. Very homely kind of thing. And then I went on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride shortly after that when I went to Disneyland for the first time, which was fun. So Cinderella we owned the VHS for, I believe. I do think I can remember the what's it called, the clamshell kind of VHS container for that back in the day. And I enjoyed that one. I think that other than, I guess, technically Snow White, that was my first Disney princess considered kind of film, like a one focused around the princess character 100%, other than Snow White. But I think that because I think that being a boy, being like a pig-headed, stupid boy growing up, also, I just realized I completely skipped over Bambi, so I'm going to go back to that in a minute. But actually, because that reminds me. So growing up as a boy, I think that I did have that stereotypical, like, ew, this is girly stuff. And it's like, this is for babies, and I don't like this, or whatever. I think that I kind of had that attitude a little bit. I had certainly seen Cinderella, and I enjoyed, Jacques and Gus the mice, and, Lucifer the cat, and all that stuff. And I remember the whole movie very distinctly and everything. There was also in college, I recall in, I think it was a class that I had with my thesis advisor, Richard Gorey, who was a great guy. He showed us a scene where the stepsisters are ripping apart her dress that she was given. And I think that the mice sewed for her to go to the ball. And they show like the background changing and getting like redder and scarier and more intense, like, and then like it chills out after like the sequence is over and they've torn off the dress and everything. So I remember learning that kind of technique from it. Circling back, because I skipped over Bambi. Bambi, I think, is a great classic Disney movie. That was definitely one of those ones. I watched it once as a kid, And even though I'm sure I must have been still in my single digits, absolutely, maybe like 5 or 6 or maybe even younger than that. But I had this attitude of like, this is for babies. I don't like this, in the same way that like I never really enjoyed Barney growing up. I was not into Barney as a little kid. And I think that part of that was because even though Thomas the Tank Engine is obviously a little kid show as well, you know, it's not that much more mature, but there was something about Thomas that stuck with me a little bit more, that I was able to take seriously, and I got fixated on that. And Barney always felt like, made me feel like I was being talked down to. And I'm sure that it's a wonderful kid show for many other people that have grown up with it. I'm not knocking it. It just wasn't for me. And I think that Bambi, I didn't have that appreciation for, because I felt like, oh, this is a little baby movie with these little baby animals or whatever, even though I love baby animals. Who doesn't love baby animals, for Christ's sake? So, rewatching that in school later, and even watching Bambi 2, weirdly enough, I think like my stepsister Logan just had a copy of it, basically. Watching that was, and appreciating it later and realizing, oh, there's like such great performances and the animation's beautiful. And actually I was not scarred by Bambi's mom, you know, from that was weirdly not something that's, you know, wrecked me as a child like it did for many other people. So I guess I should be thankful for that. But I do enjoy it. I think the little thing that I've still taken away from that movie is that you can call me a flower if you want to. I don't mind. And then didn't realize until watching it years later that, oh, this is the older version of Flower was the voice Sterling Holloway, the voice of Winnie the Pooh. And I think I've used the cute gif of Thumper being you know, sniffed real close by like the cute, like the girl bunny that he meets when they're all quote unquote Twitter pated. So I recall a bunch of that, but yeah, that one's okay. Alice in Wonderland, which I feel like for some reason I felt like that one came a lot earlier, but Alice in Wonderland was very cool. There's always parts of it, whenever I would go back and rewatch that film, there are always parts of it that I didn't remember being the case. It's like, oh right, this part where like the walrus guy and Tweedledee and Tweedledum and the little short king guy that hangs out with the Queen of Hearts and everything. You know, there's so much of that stuff that I always like forget is the case. And I quite like that one. I since then, of course, that was my introduction to the Alice in Wonderland motif and characters and everything. And I later went on to you know, see all these other kind of iterations and different things. Funny story, I do remember, those of you who are fans of Vivian Madrano's stuff, Has Been in Hell of a Boss and all that stuff, I remember at one point she really wanted to do her own spin on Alice in Wonderland as a feature film, which she was kind of like toying with that as like kind of her next major animation project, like long before Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel and all that stuff and everything, which I hope that maybe she might do that someday, because that'd be kind of cool to see. But Alice is a good one. I think that my one little there's lines from every Disney movie that I still remember that like stick with me, that are just like moments that are so ingrained from when I was a kid and I saw them, or maybe later on. With Alice in Wonderland, it was the bottle from the doorknob keyhole guy. So there's that. Peter Pan is fantastic. Love that one. And I've loved almost every version of Peter Pan that I've ever seen. All the live action adaptations and even the sequel I really enjoyed as well. That the big one I remember from that is the I am a codfish. I always also I loved the oh, okay, here's something. I always loved cool looking maps of stuff, and like in every video game that I ever grew up with, I always really enjoyed cool map screens where you'd like go from area to area to you know, go to the different levels. All the Super Nintendo and NES and Sega Genesis games that I grew up with, they all had that, and I was always like way into that kind of thing. And I think that the map of Neverland that was in the original movie, that might have actually created my obsession with cool map areas like that. And I always dreamed of like getting to go there just because I thought it'd be a fun place to sort of explore and have adventures in and everything. And I did recall always wanting for many years to have like some kind of video game equivalent of that to go to. And funnily enough, even of all things in Kingdom Hearts, we didn't really get that for a very, very long time. We didn't really get that until the Birth by Sleep game of all things. That was, I believe, the first time that we had that, which was kind of funny to think of. After all that time, we didn't get it. But so Peter Pan's a good one. Lady and the Tramp, I believe we had that one too. That was a cute one. Really enjoyed it as a kid, and funnily enough, I remember rewatching that again, I think in my final year of college with Mike Rocco, like just him and I, the two of us. And he pointed out to me a thing that I don't know if this is one of those like Disney urban legends or otherwise, or if maybe it actually is the case and they were just very subtle about it, and he pointed it out to me. Where after this is the night, is the beautiful night, and then they wake up, the implication is that they slept together, and then when she got impounded and then released, they had to check for if Lady was going to be, if Lady was pregnant or not. So, and then when Scotty and I forget the two dog friends of hers, they were like they were going to like kind of show up and sort of take responsibility and be the father, because they figured that the tramp ran off, and then when the tramp shows up, he's like, "Oh, what do you think you're doing back here? Don't you know what you did?" or whatever. And I never pieced that together. I think that that's the case. I don't know for sure if that's a Disney urban legend or otherwise, but he pointed that out to me and it gave me this whole new perspective on it. But that's a cute one. And of course, I love every reference to the eating the spaghetti and you know, kissing the snoots back and forth together and everything. That's always been a fun, cute little thing. So Sleeping Beauty, I barely remembered. Funnily enough, when Kingdom Hearts came out, speaking of Kingdom Hearts, that was kind of my real more in-depth introduction to Maleficent, because I barely remembered that she was the villain of Sleeping Beauty. It had been so long since then that I didn't put that together. And I was like, oh, right, that's what she's the bad guy from. And she turns into the dragon and she fights the guy. So I think that I had only ever seen it the one time, because I remembered, you know, she pricks her finger on the thing and she falls asleep, and there's the three little fairies with the color argument and stuff, and the prince was kind of cool, and he fights against Maleficent at the end and all that kind of thing. But it was very just like surface level kind of things, and I didn't remember a whole lot about, like, you know, what differentiated Princess Aurora and Prince Philip from other Disney princesses at the time. I think that for me at the time, they were kind of running together a little bit, so they weren't, you know, impacting me that deeply necessarily. But I definitely said that would be one that would be interesting to go back to now with a brain and like understand what the heck was going on with it. So that's one thing. 101 Dalmatians, really enjoyed that one a lot. That was one that I think I did go back and rewatch quite a few times as a kid, so that must have been one of my childhood favorites for sure. I really liked all of the characters in that one. I loved Pongo and Perdita. I love the human caretakers, Cruella de Vil and her little stupid henchmen. I loved all the puppy characters and the maid and everything. That was, I think, that was one of those ones where I think I was starting to more kind of understand story structure in a sense. And I think that might have even maybe been the first movie that was like kind of a journey story of, like, you know, having to get all, you know, rescue the puppies and everything, all these different characters kind of working together, and this sort of like channel of different dog and other animals that knew each other somehow, that were all trying to work together to save these puppies and, you know, get them away from Cruella and everything. That was cool. I remember that left kind of a big imprint on me. And that would be one actually that would be fun to go back and watch again. I also do remember genuinely kind of enjoying the live action remake of that they did many years ago. I'm sure it's probably just as cringe as the other live action remakes, but I have somewhat good memories of that, probably because I loved the original movie so much that was enough for me. This is that. Sword in the Stone, I really liked Sword and Stone. I only watched it a couple times growing up, but it left a very tremendous impact on me because I think I remember really being taken by the kind of cool art style of it. It was like this kind of looked a little bit different compared to some of the other Disney movies up to that point. And the biggest memory I have of that one was, and I don't know what this says about me, but secondarily, the transforming wizard battle between what's it called? Merlin and the what was the evil? Oh, Madame Mim. The kind of the magic battle of them turning each other into different animals and things. But primarily, I remember the part where Wart gets turned into, was that his name? The King Arthur kid was Wart, I think his name was. He gets turned into a squirrel, and then there's like the cute little like girl squirrel that like immediately falls in love with him. And then when he gets turned back into a human, she's all like sad, and she goes up in the tree and cries. And I was like, oh my God. And that didn't make me cry, but that was another thing, kind of like the Dumbo situation I mentioned with Dumbo, where like that just made me feel really, really, really bad for a character. And like, no, I don't want them to be sad because he had to become a human again. Oh man, so that was a cute, that another one I'd love to go back and rewatch that again at some point. I don't think it's very long, weirdly enough. Oh, I also remember in college, a few of my classmates and I, we used to joke with the whoa thing that Wart would do when he'd fall over or whatever, which I think was the same kid. No, I think Wart was played by a few different kids over the years, and I think that maybe one of them was the kid that went on to play Mowgli in Jungle Book. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe they recycled the whoa. I can't remember. Mary Poppins. Only seen it a couple times. I remember the songs a lot. I don't remember liking the movie that much because I think it was also like, whatever, live action, I don't care. And they go to like Cartoon World and they dance with penguins for 2 seconds. Yay, whatever. Like that was kind of all that it meant to me. But I do very vividly remember like all of the songs because they were so incredibly catchy. I did, related to that, did really enjoy the movie Saving Mr. Banks. I remember watching that a few years ago and really enjoying the story. I think I even kind of enjoyed the story of how the movie was made and kind of approved by the creator of Mary Poppins more so than the actual story itself. But that also might come down to I just didn't like the Disney interpretation of it more, if anything else. So Jungle Book. Jungle Book is great. Really enjoyed that one. That was, I think I did also go back and rewatch that one quite a bit. I think we rewatched it in college too. That was, I believe, around when the live action Disney movie remakes were happening in full swing to a sort of point of obnoxiousness, unfortunately. That was something. Baloo actually was the big thing about that movie more than anything else that I remember because he had so many fun little moments and sayings. To this day, I think I when I'm like complaining about like having to do something next day, I'll say like, but can it wait until morning? It's morning now with Bagheera. And then also the end of I Want to Be Like You, the skibby da ba da ba da ba da 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 da. Man, still cracks me up so much. Speaking of Baloo and liking Baloo so much, The Aristocats, which featured the same actor playing O'Malley the Alley Cat. That was one I also weirdly kind of ended up rewatching quite a bit. I don't know what it was about that one that just made me enjoy it a lot. Some of the songs are pretty catchy. Story was kind of cool. I didn't mind the three kittens, although I was very confused about like, why do the three kittens look so different from their mom, the Duchess? Why does one of them look like he could be the son of O'Malley the Alley Cat, but they just met now? And there's actually quite a bit of moments from that one that still kind of stick with me. The two geese women that are like kind of like shit talking O'Malley and be like, look at his crooked smile, and then he's like getting all self-conscious about the way he smiles or whatever. There's that. Practice your arpeggios with the cats playing on the piano. the evil butler trying to, get them away. They're like, I'll be gone, when he thinks about how they're going to leave. Oh, and cats, when he hears about the old lady wanting to leave her fortune behind to her cats. And everybody wants to be a cat. Sadly, it sticks in my mind, and I'm not going to say it, but the Siamese cat that looks exactly like the one of the Siamese cats from what's it called, from Lady and the Tramp. With his little part of the that everybody wants to be a cat. That part stuck in my mind because at the time I thought that was funny, and now I look back and I'm like, ha ha ha, no it isn't. That's very not cool, Disney. but it was a thing. It sure was a thing at the time. So bed knobs and broomsticks, I don't think I've ever actually seen it. I've always known the name of it, but I don't think I've ever actually seen that before, so I know nothing other than the name. Robin Hood. Now here's a weird one. I think that I've only ever seen this movie once. I think that I've only ever seen the original Robin Hood film from start to finish one time. I remember all the characters from it. I know, Little John and Prince John, the goofy, lion guy. I remember Maid Marian. I remember was it the snake guy that looked like Kaa, but he wasn't Kaa. Because that was almost like this odd sort of like the same sort of thing that Osamu Tezuka does. Where like he would have shared character designs between series that were clearly like, repeated, like, oh, it's Ham and Egg again, and it's Dr. Elephant and that kind of thing. Excuse me again, Ralph. So I noticed that. It's like, oh, these are like character designs that I've seen before, but they're kind of being repurposed, and some of them even had some of the same actors as well. But I don't remember much about the actual story. So I think I've really only ever seen it once, and actually it's funny too. I didn't realize for years until later that dee dee da dee da do do dee da dee da do do from the Hamster Dance was taken from a song from Robin Hood. That never occurred to me. That's one. I think that Rocco, I remember Rocco pulling it up and watching it again. I don't think I watched it in full. Maybe that was when I watched it in full. I don't remember. I don't think we owned that one growing up, necessarily, but, Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I am sure I saw this growing up. I'm sure that I saw this growing up. But I think that I only watched it the one time back then, and I think that I was not huge into it because I think that unfortunately Winnie the Pooh was also like the Bambi and Cinderella thing where it felt like it was quote unquote for babies. And I got all like, up on myself about it and then just didn't, give it the time of day, I guess, even though obviously the Pooh Bear characters are very, very beloved. And I appreciate them now, of course. I vividly remember, he's stuck in the wall and all that kind of stuff. Like, absolutely. Wasn't huge into it growing up necessarily. The Rescuers, I did enjoy very much. And I'm sure I did watch that multiple times. And really enjoyed that little adventure as well. That one was kind of... I think I saw, I'm going to get to it soon, but I think that I saw The Rescuers after I saw The Great Mouse Detective. So they were both these, and that was also probably, I'm sure I saw like Fievel Goes West and American Tail and all these like, a lot of these animated, and Secret and Nim, all these animated films that were about like rats and mice going on cool adventures and stuff like that. So I did enjoy it, but Rescuers Down Under, which I'll get to, that one I was bigger into as a little kid. Peach Dragon, don't think I've ever actually seen it before, unfortunately. Fox and the Hound, I really liked. That one I think did kind of hit me emotionally a little bit because I remember that was one of the first times that I felt bad for like a pair of friends being driven apart, because I always liked I always liked what was going on with the kind of funny dynamic that the I don't remember their names, but the old woman that took care of Todd the fox, and then the old man that took care of Copper the dog. I remember that I liked their kind of like funny dynamic, and I like how they sort of like worked things out eventually later on. But I did. But I did feel bad when like Todd and Copper like couldn't be friends. The big quote from that one that I remember was, "But I'm a hunting dog now." Like this kind of regretful, like I'm not allowed to be your friend anymore. I'm sorry, because of this. Also, Pat Buttram as Chief, who I would later go on to know as Pat Buttram, playing himself in so many cartoons I grew up with, and always remembering Rob Paulson's story about like. What was it? Like he worked with Pat Buttram on something, and he's like, "How are you doing today, sir?" "I'm doing just fine, young man. I just found me a $5 hooker who validates." And actually quite a few people that I grew to like. Kurt Russell as the older version of Copper, Corey Feldman, who was the young Hopper, who I enjoyed the work of. Sandy Duncan, who played Vixie, who I later grew to know from an episode of Scooby-Doo and the whatever Scooby-Doo series that he meets the celebrities and different famous figures and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. So Fox and the Hound was a good one. Black Cauldron, I don't know if I've ever seen Black Cauldron in full before. I've seen parts of it because I remember when they meet Gurgi, and I remember seeing like them fighting, or not fighting, but like something to do with, I don't know, something with the Horn King or something. Like, I don't know. I don't have enough like vivid memories of it, unfortunately, to have like a big account of it, unfortunately. So I don't think I've seen that one in full before. I know it's kind of a sort of black sheep beloved one for a lot of people that actually gave it the time of day. I should watch it just to know that I've seen it. Would be kind of fun. So there's that. Great Mouse Detective. Really enjoyed Great Mouse Detective. That is one that I have a lot of vivid memories of. Same thing where I loved all the characters from it very much. They were all a ton of fun. Obviously, Vincent Price as Ratigan is a delight without question. And I might have even, God almighty. There were Disney characters that I was like, ooh, I feel things for because I'm a child and don't remember things. I think I might have, like, when I was like 5, I might have liked the Scottish the mouse girl from that, because I definitely remember liking Jasmine. Princess Jasmine was a big one. There might have been some other characters like that, kind of from that era, that I was like, I have weird feelings for it, but I can't like say that because I'm a boy and ew, gross cooties or something. And love I still go back and I watch the big fight scene with what's it called, with Basil and Ratigan on the Big Ben Tower, with that kind of early CG stuff kind of mixed in there too. Is super cool. I'm seeing Who Framed Roger Rabbit on here. I didn't necessarily know that. I guess because it has the Disney characters. I'm gonna not count that because that's a little bit of a different sort of thing. I'll pass over that. There was Oliver and Company. Oliver and Company is great. It holds up very, very well. I think that I didn't get what was going on in the story a whole lot at the time. I don't know why. It's not like there was a whole lot not to understand about it. But there was a thing where I really did grow to like a lot of like the cute little orange and type kid character, like animal kids, because that's I loved Simba, I loved Todd the fox, I loved Oliver the little cat, and Tails as well. I think because I felt like, yeah, I want to be them, I want to be that character in this thing, was one. I do remember Tito and Francis, like, not Frankie, Francis, like, okay, Francis, like them kind of messing with each other. I love Why Should I Worry? And the version at the end with Why Should We Care? I I something about the little girl being kidnapped, and then like the homeless guy that took care of all the animals and stuff, and then the evil like gross guy with like that kind of, you know, like that the voice like that was capturing the girl, and then he gets smashed by the train that kills him and everything. And I remember the Dom DeLuise, that's right, he was the thief guy, the homeless guy, and he was like, oh, bye Jenny, when he like brings the little girl back home or something, and then I think Oliver stays with her or something. And I remember like, are you gonna eat me? I don't eat cats, kid, with the Billy Joel dog and everything. So Little Mermaid. Okay, Little Mermaid was one where I think even though it was a Disney princess movie, you know, focused around her and like, oh, it's girly, but like, I think that was one that I kind of just gave a pass to, and I was like, yeah, but it's cool and I like it, and I think I'm starting to grow to like romantic stuff. So, oh, by the way, funnily enough, Oliver and Company came out very shortly, about a month before I was born, on November 18th, 1988. I was born December 31st, 1988. I'm going to be 35 soon. Oh, God. Little Mermaid was shortly after that, a year later in 89, November 17th. And I did enjoy that movie. I think that was one that I kind of didn't want to admit that I really liked it, but I did. So that was one. I think I didn't watch it quite as much compared to some of the other ones because it was a little on the quote unquote girlier side for me. But I remember like everything about that film. That one was, and by the way, I think I had the VHS tape cover that had the penis spire on it. I'm pretty sure I had that. And I met also in school, I met Tom Cito, who is an animator, a classic Disney animator that I believe worked on that movie. And he was a really funny guy, and Mike Rocco grew to be friends with him, I think, later on, or got acquainted with him anyway. But yeah, that was a cool one. I've since in my adult years grown to really like Ursula as one of my favorite classic Disney villains, as just this like, you know, fun, bombastic, and Pat Carroll is brilliant with the performance in her and everything. Love her work on that. And Ariel and Eric are cool. Prince Eric is he was a fun prince kind of guy, and Chris Daniel Barnes as him was awesome, and Jodie Benson as Ariel's great and everything. So they're a lot of fun. Nightmare Before Christmas. Watched it as a kid. I was an idiot and didn't realize that it was. I was really stupid back then and didn't fully understand subtlety. And I also like got things confused for each other. I thought that Oogie Boogie and the mayor of Halloween Town were the same character. For some reason, I screwed up and thought that. And I didn't really watch that movie getting it like fully until God sometime later, and actually watching it. And for some reason, weirdly, I also remember this. I think my dad or something got me the DVD of Nightmare Before Christmas, like, I don't know, like just one year for Christmas, thinking that like, yeah, you love this movie, right? And I mean, I'm like, I like it, but it's not like one of my favorite movies or anything necessarily. I do sincerely appreciate it for it's a marvel of stop motion, absolutely, for sure. But and it's funny with my. I've grown more attached to it just because of now moving around that area in Halloween Town because of Kingdom Hearts. That made me appreciate the movie more than I should have already, just for it being a good movie, you know? So there's that. I somehow skipped over like 5 things. Sorry, I'm going out of order. I'm losing my mind. Okay. Rescuers Down Under. I think I've actually only ever seen that movie once, to my recollection. But I remember being incredibly wowed by how beautiful the animation looked. And I also remember distinctly seeing like all of on every VHS that I ever had, there was a commercial for the Rescuers Down Under, available now on VHS, on home video or whatever, from that one, coming soon to Disney home video. I forget the name of that announcer that did all those commercials and stuff. But yeah, that one was good. Although don't remember it as much as I wish I did. The one part I remember was when the little boy is being carried off by the big eagle, and he looks down at him, like looking upside down at him, and he squawks at him, and I'm like, that's kind of scary, but he's cute though, so it's fine. And Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was another one, kind of like Little Mermaid, where I was like, it has like a little bit, you know what? No. Beauty and the Beast was less quote unquote girly. Again, bear with me. I was like 5. I'm sorry to everyone that I'm sure is probably like, oh my God, you were such a boy. It was stupid. Beauty and the Beast, I think, was a little like cooler to me because it had like, I liked all the talking, the hands at the castle that got turned into, the Lumiere and Cogsworth and all that stuff. I liked them. I liked the Beast. I liked Gaston and LeFou. I got to work with LeFou's actor on the Berserk special edition series that we did a while ago. Jesse Cordy. Yeah, he was great. He was so much fun to work with, and he could still do the voice and everything. It was such a cute little thing. That's another one, like with Little Mermaid, where I remember absolutely everything about that film, like, every bit of it. And I think I went to go see like some kind of Disney on Ice thing with my dad and my Uncle Phil. And after we went to go see that, my Uncle Phil, for like the rest of my life, would always remind me of, he would sing Beauty and the Beast. He would like sing it like that, weirdly. That's like the most outstanding thing I can say about my Uncle Phil. It's sad to say. Aladdin. So I don't remember if I got into Aladdin either before or after The Lion King, because it was before The Lion King, of course, but I don't remember if I became big into that movie after, or if it was maybe around the same time or something. I don't know for sure, but Aladdin was a huge one for me, and as it was for a lot of people, and I'm sure like probably for a lot of boys in particular, that was like one of, if not their favorite Disney movie. I still enjoy it. There's things about it that don't fully hold up to me. But overall, it's a really fun adventure. It's beautiful to look at. All the performances and characters are great. Everybody's so memorable. Obviously, Robin as the genie is outstanding. That was one also that hit around the time that I was also getting really big into video games. And I was in tandem with my obsession with the movie. I was obsessed with the Genesis game, with the Super Nintendo game. I had Return of Jafar and King of Thieves on VHS as well at that time. I did not see much of the TV show because I didn't watch Disney Channel growing up. But and I had quite a few toys. I think I had a Jafar toy and like some stuff like that. Maybe even like some kind of like Aladdin playset I have like a vague memory of. I had like an Aladdin board game where you hopped from building to building, going across these different things. And I remember there was like a thing where like if you win, you have to grant 3 wishes, but they have to be these 3 wishes, like fly around the room like a magic carpet, make a silly face like Abu, and something like, I don't know, some weird stuff like that. I'm just like, this is silly. Okay, whatever. But love that one. But then The Lion King. Okay. The Lion King was my entire personality for a good few years. I was absolutely obsessed with The Lion King. And I do think that it still does hold up overall. I'll never really know for sure what the deal was it supposed to be a Kimba / Leo the Lion, Jungle Emperor Leo movie or otherwise. I think about the alternate universe where that could have happened, where it would have been Disney doing a Leo, Jungle Emperor Leo film. But even for what it was, and for it just being Hamlet, as with lions, basically, I loved that movie so much. That was my favorite Disney movie for the longest time. And Simba was, I'll say this, Simba was my, first comfort character. I had favorite characters that I enjoyed, like Dopey and Thomas and other stuff by that point, but Simba was one that I had like this real obsession with, of like, oh, I want to be like him. I liked the kid version of him specifically. I thought was cool. I think I remembered like, along with Robin Williams as the genie and Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Simba, I think those were the first times that I remembered like who the voice actors of animated characters were. So that was also kind of the beginning of that obsession, was all that sort of thing. And I remembered a couple. I think I remembered Nathan Lane as Timon was one that I knew of, and maybe like a couple other characters that were like that. Also going back a second, because I mentioned this about the crushes. Jasmine and Aladdin, I think, was kind of my first, like, I think I'm feeling something like not, like romantic or crushy. Like, I think I'm feeling something like sexual for this character, but I'm like a child and I don't understand what that means when I see like slave Jasmine with the red thing and she puts the crown on, and I'm just like, So, as an adult later, that was different, but at the time I'm just like, I don't know. Nala was not one of those characters for me, thank God. So no offense to my furry friends and brethren, of course, because I'm proudly a furry now. I can't really deny that at this point. So that's point. I used to always say I'm a furry on Thursdays. At this point, it's just like, no, I'm just a furry. But I really enjoyed Lion King a lot. That was a huge one for me. Lion King 2 coming out was like this revolutionary like event in my life at that time. I didn't finish this little thing about Simba. I had quite a few like toys and like, plushies and things that were like, big important things for me. And I had a baby Simba plush, specifically the baby version of him that Rafiki holds up at the beginning of the movie. I had a plushie of Simba that is like filthy and disgusting, probably by now, because it was, it went through hell and back. But that was like my little buddy that I took everywhere with me. That was one of my favorite plushies, along with that Bowser plushie, that Mario 64 style Bowser plushie that I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen pictures of by now. That was a big thing. Pocahontas. I don't hate Pocahontas. I know that one gets a lot of flack. I think it's fine. It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's fine. And really beautiful animation, great character design. The villain is weird and silly. I liked Miko and Flit and Percy when I was a kid. Shrug. I remember actually before Lion King 2 happened, I wanted Miko to be in. I wanted Miko to be in the Lion King sequel for some reason, just because Mac would be so proud of me for the fact that I liked a cartoon raccoon character so much. I liked Miko. I liked Miko and Percy and Flit, the little animal. That was always an easy sell for me, was animal characters. That would be like a quick win over. I'm like, yep, I like this character. Cool. I'm good with that. Whatever. It's fine. So, I'm gonna skip over the Pixar movies because that could be its own Kirblog. Maybe if somebody ever asked for that. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I enjoyed it as a kid. Did not really appreciate it as much until I rewatched it as an adult later. It's definitely one of those. But I liked it well enough. I think that weirdly enough, as a kid, I was entertained by the three annoying statue characters that nobody likes. And then as an adult, I grew to like all the other characters, of course. So that one was good. Hercules. Hercules, I have always really enjoyed consistently. I liked it as a kid. I grew to like it more in college, and I think even now it still holds up as probably one of my favorite of that era of Disney movie. I think that's probably still in like my top 5 Hercules. That's a big one for me. Still look back on it very fondly. I love all the songs from it, and all the characters from it as well. Everybody from the heroes to the villains to everything in between. Meg, his wife. Meg is definitely, I don't know if she counts as a Disney princess, but I was very excited when Steven Universe happened and Rose Quartz. I know people are whatever about Rose Quartz sometimes, but I loved Susan Egan's performance as her, because she was fantastic as Meg. So that was a big one. Mulan. Mulan is very good too. I think that's also a very solid film. I've heard things about the live action remake, kind of conflicting things about it improving it, but then other things that are not so great. But the original, interesting memory about that one. I remember being homesick one day and I rented. I think my mom like rented me Mulan. Like she just went to the video store and said, "Oh, you want me to get you a little something?" I'm like, "Can you get me Mulan?" I just was like in the mood to rewatch it for some reason and threw it on the DVD. I think at that time that would have been probably when I was in like high school at that time. Excuse me. I like Mulan. And trying to think of like, and "You Are One Lucky Bug" is one part that I remember that I still think back to here and there. And and of course, you know, and hi, I'm Ling. And I'm Chien-Po. Hello, Chien-Po. And I am Yao, king of the rock. And then nothing the sister baby can do about it. That is the most memorable part to me that I still think of. And and obviously, Be a Man, one of the best Disney songs without question. It is a marvel for the ears. Tarzan. I have been meaning for a very, very, very long time to go back and rewatch Tarzan. There was a point where I remember I watched that with my dad quite a bit at the time. 99 that movie came out. I something about it really hit me emotionally, and I loved it. I loved the spectacle. I loved the comedy. I loved all the performances. I loved the animation. Great story. You know, everything. And I remember there was even a time where my dad was like, "You sure you might like this movie more than The Lion King?" And I'm like, "No, I could never betray The Lion King. It's my first love. It's my favorite Disney movie." I don't know. And I wonder if I were to go back and rewatch it now, I might like it more than Lion King. Honestly, that is very, very, very possible. I don't know, but that's one that I'd love to go. I'd love to rewatch maybe with like my little Discord friend group at some point. So, and I remember Clayton a lot. I remember, and Daddy, he took my boat. It was the one I bought you. Fantasia 2000. I think I've only ever seen it once. That's another one that I know I really should rewatch now that I actually have a deep appreciation for animation. I think I saw it in school and SVA maybe. I'd love to. The only real part that I remember was the thing with Donald Duck and what's it, Daisy, with them like like I think they were like shepherding about. I think was it the Noah's Ark thing where they were like getting all the animals on the ark. I think maybe it was something like that. I can't quite remember. But that's the only part of it that I even like can picture in my mind still. Unfortunately, so that's one that I should give it a time of day. Tigger movie, never seen it. Don't know much about it. Dinosaur, saw it once. The only part I remember is a bunch of creepy looking early CG monkeys jumping around and having like mating season while the main dinosaur guy is like sad and alone. And I remember a kid that I went to school with in elementary school or maybe middle school had a toy of one of the dinosaur characters, and you would press a button and they would say they would like speak a little line like coming out of the toy, and one of them said, "Goodness gracious me, oh my." That has stuck with me for like 30 years of my life at this point or whatever. I don't even know. So that's all I remember about Dinosaur. Emperor's New Groove. Excellent. Definitely one of my top 5 for sure. I wonder if I'm saying this, but I wonder if they are. I wonder what my top 5 and top 10 were in that Kirblog that we did a few years ago. I'd be curious about that. Emperor's New Groove is perfection. It's so much fun. I remember watching that. I want to say maybe for like my 20th birthday or something. I had a bunch of my friends over, and at one of the places I lived in Long Island, we all got together and we watched that for my birthday party as just because it was like a easy, like, everyone likes this movie. Sure, I'll throw this on. Why not? And also the Disney documentary The Sweatbox, which is about the making of Emperor's New Groove. is a lot of it's very interesting. It's a lot of fun to watch. Little downtrodden because it kind of pulls the curtain back to show like, yep, it's these things kind of go through a lot of phases, and then there's corporate crap that happens, etc. But I like it a lot. So Atlantis, I rewatched Atlantis, The Lost Empire this year. I like that movie. I know that's one that's kind of like with people sometimes, but I like it. I love Milo. I love Kida. I love all the group of idiots. Beautiful art style. And you know what? Better story than I thought. I remember thinking like, oh, the story was kind of weak. I thought it was okay. It was a fun little adventure. Nothing too crazy. Nothing like major grand scale, but it's enjoyable. And it was the characters that and definitely the visuals and making the characters as lively as they are with full animation made me like them maybe more than I would have otherwise. Because when I watched it back in the day, it was like, yeah, it's fine. But as an adult, I think I like it a lot more. And also knowing, I think, is it Mike Mignola's art style, if I'm remembering correctly? Yeah. And seeing the kind of through line now with Hellboy and everything, it's like, yep, that makes total sense. So Michael J. Fox and Cree Summer are treasures in that film as well. So I like that one a lot. Lilo and Stitch. I would say that's probably also top 5 for me. As I'm kind of thinking to myself right now in terms of what are ones that I would put in my top 5. Lilo and Stitch is a masterpiece. It was great to see more and more of these Disney films that were becoming not just like this fairy tale that is an old Charles Dickens or Hans Christian. Oh God, I'm forgetting. But whatever, the old classic type of ones that they adapted into Disney style movies and then they became forever associated with them. Those were great, but then seeing these original films and enjoying like, okay, they did their kind of own thing with this kind of basic concept. Lilo and Stitch is beautiful. I love Lilo and Stitch so much. They are amazing. I couldn't tell you how many quotes from that one, educate yourself. Also, I had an in-joke for a long time and I think Rock and I still do this, where it's like, Ohana Moon's snot, and barf out snot or something. I don't know. It was a weird thing, but just carried over to people I know somehow. That's a big one for me, for sure. Treasure Planet. That's one that I think I've also grown to love as it's aged as a fine wine. Possibly top 5, I would say. Maybe I might even be at 5 by now, so I might have to start saying top 10. But it's fantastic. I love Jim Hawkins. Jim Hawkins is definitely one of those, like, okay, the talking animal, like, young kid characters were ones that I had back then that were like, yeah, I want to, like, be this kid character. Jim Hawkins was more of a character that I'm like, yeah, I want to be this now as I'm a teenager. Because Treasure Planet, that was 2002, so that would have been that was middle school for me. I think end of middle school was that. And I've gone back and rewatched that one, and it's just so much fun. I don't know why people didn't love it as much as they did. I'm not sure like why it was such a big commercial failure, unfortunately. Because I think it really is genuinely a lot of fun, and it's got such great stuff to it, and a really wonderful arc with Jim and Long John Silver and everything, and the captain and Delbert and all these guys. Just a lot of fun, very imaginative, very cool. Not seen Piglet's Big Movie. Brother Bear I watched in college on a whim because I thought, you know what? I've never seen it. It seemed like lame to me, so I just kind of skipped over it. But I was like, I don't know. It could be good. Like, why not? Let me give it a shot. And so I watched it with Mike Rocco and Chris Zito, actually. And I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought it was going to. I don't. It's not like tremendously memorable to me, but I thought that it was fairly like mature. Other than the Canadian moose guys that were just like, this is the gag, huh? And that's it. I really I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Not like a top favorite or anything, but it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see it. I have never seen Home on the Range. I've been mostly told by people to not. The only real reason that I would want to is because it was one of the last animated 2D movies that they did, kind of in that way. So even just for the visuals, because I'm sure it visually looks amazing, and even for that alone, I would probably just enjoy the sight of it. But I don't know like anything about it. I just know it's like there's a bunch of cows and bulls, and it's weird and cartoony. I don't know. Maybe I'd like it. For all I know, maybe I would actually enjoy it. I have no idea. We'll see. Maybe I'll indulge that someday. I have been shown the Barnyard movie twice now by my friend group, and I will never forgive them for that. So, never seen the Heffalump movie. I think the Heffalump is cute, but I've never seen it. Only seen a small portion of Chicken Little. I don't know much beyond that. Weirdly enough, my one memory of it was I remember I was watching Scrubs with some of my friends at that time, and somehow when I just like saw a quick little moment of it, like towards the end of the movie, where I think he's having like some kind of moment with his dad or something. I don't entirely know. I heard Chicken Little talk, and somehow I recognized that was Zach Braff. How I was able to recognize his voice through that, maybe that was my superpower, kind of, coming to fruition or whatever. But yeah, I've never actually seen it before. I don't know. Maybe I've heard it's like okay. But I don't really know much about it, and I thought it was funny, that like he showed up in Kingdom Hearts as a summon and said, "Hey, we actually got Zach Braff to do that." And I'm like, "Wow, that's surprising." And apparently I've heard a tale of like how Roger Craig Smith's first voice job ever, like first major voice job, was voice matching Steve Zahn as the runt of the litter. And then he ended up playing him in a video game, and there was like a series that they were going to do that never ended up getting made or something like that. Don't know. The Wild, I don't know anything about The Wild other than I remember taking a good look at it and thinking that it looked really silly, and I was like, I'm good, not interested, so didn't ever see it. I'm sad to say, I've never seen Meet the Robinsons. A lot of people I know, even today, love that movie and swear by that movie. I've never seen it. I would be interested to watch it because I hear it's cool. I hear it was kind of like, had some elements of The Incredibles, which I forget when The Incredibles was right before that. It was like a year or two before that. I know it has like some superhero-ish kind of stuff to it, sort of, but I don't know it. I never got around to watching it. I think I just maybe was like, oh, it's a Disney movie, but it's not Pixar and it's CG. Whatever, I'm not interested. I think they just weren't grabbing my attention with the CG movies they were doing at that time. And I was kind of bitter about like, whatever about the 2D films. So I just kind of skipped over it. I have surprisingly also never seen Enchanted. I know some of the memes of it, and I remember thinking that's kind of a cute little funny idea for an animated film. But I never actually watched it in full before. And that's one that like maybe I could watch someday, but I'm not also weirdly like jumping out of my seat to see it. So I was just sort of like, whatever, it's a film. Bolt, I don't know why, but I saw that in theaters. And I thought it was all right. I vaguely remember something happening with that where like it was meant to be something else, and then like it was taken from them. Like what the hell was it? I think it was pitched as something, and I remember kind of hearing this sad story about how like they wanted it to be something, and then Disney decided to completely rework it, and they did like this whole new kind of direction of it and changed what the vision was. And I remember being very like at the time very angry and bitter about that, because I was like, no, like let them do what their creative vision is. Like, that's not fair. Like, you should let them be able to do what they want to do with the story and everything. That's all I really remember about like the kind of surrounding stuff of it. But I went to go see it just for shits, and I was like, it's fine. It was a fun little time. It's like, whatever. And I thought it was an okay movie, but nothing, crazy for me, I guess, necessarily. Princess and the Frog. Really enjoyed it. I went to go see that movie in theaters, I think 3 times. That was when I was in college by that point and surrounded by animation loving, like-minded people. So I believe I went to go see it with some friends. I think I went to go see it with my dad, and maybe I went to go see it with somebody else. But I remember going to see it in theaters multiple times because I think I knew that it was possibly going to be the last 2D animated Disney movie. And it almost was. Then we had the Winnie the Pooh one, which I didn't see. That was shortly after that. But that was, I actually really liked that movie a lot. I know some people are also kind of like half and half with it at times, but I love the songs. I liked most of the characters from it. I have definitely used I Got Friends on the Other Side as a song for whenever I've had like singing auditions, and I've had like pick your favorite Disney song or something like that. I've picked Friends on the Other Side before. Ruako and I had a lot of in jokes about that. Because at the time we had seen it. I remember there's a part where like what is it? What is his name? The little fly guy that Jim Cummings played that was really sad. Ray. Ray had to like pick the little pricker things out of Louis the singing crocodile or alligator's butt. And it was like, sorry, little guy, now about the other, now, how about this part? And we wanted to splice in like, sorry, little buddy, now how about the other side? We never got around to doing that. But I also briefly met the voice of Louis, Michael Leon Woolley. We had him for a couple episodes of OKKO. Sweet guy. What a big sweetheart. So nice guy. Such a nice guy. Really happy I got to meet him. And Princess of the Frog is awesome. Give me a boss battle with Dr. Facilier in the Kingdom Hearts game at some point. I know they're probably not going to do Princess and the Frog as a level. I'm not holding my breath for that, unfortunately, but it would be cool if we got to fight him at some point. So, Tangled. Tangled's a big one for me. I really love that movie. I was ready to hate that movie 13 years ago now. Good Lord, that was 13 years ago. I was ready to hate that movie a lot. I was ready to think it was lame and whatever. On a whim, funnily enough, speaking of Vivian earlier, I went to go see that movie with Vivian and a couple other people. And maybe Ruaka was there too, and a couple other folks in college, because she was a freshman when I was a senior in SVA. So she was around and we went to go see it. I think maybe when the new year started in 2011. Yeah, when 2011. Yes, that's right. Because that was my final year of college. I met Vivian, we hung out, and we went to go see the movie together, all of us. And I was absolutely inspired by that film. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, but my God, it was such a joy. They just can't get my nose right. It's me, literally me. The character is Eugene. And was impressed actually very much by Mandy Moore's performance. She was great, and Rapunzel was awesome, and the evil stepmother and everything was great. That movie is actually what got me to start thinking about doing Balancing Act as a film instead of a series. It was because of how much that movie inspired the hell out of me. I'm very grateful that I gave it a shot when I was like, I do remember hearing it was, hey, Disney's finally going to do a Rapunzel Disney princess movie. And they were originally going to do it like they were going to animate it in 3D and then paint over it with 2D animation, which would have been ungodly time consuming to do such a thing. But I was bitter that they didn't end up doing that, but I went to go see it anyway. I'm very glad that I gave it a chance because it's definitely up there. Might be in my top 10 for sure. Because it's great, and I haven't gone back to rewatch it in quite a while, but that was one that I did watch many times over because and I've been told, actually, funnily enough, my friend Santana has told me many times that I should watch the series, the Tangled series at some point, because apparently that show is really good. It has some great stuff to it. So I never saw the 2011 2D Winnie the Pooh movie. I really wish that I went to go see it in theaters. I don't know how much of a difference it would have made in terms of keeping 2D animation for Disney movies alive. Probably not, but I do wish that I had gone to see it at that point, because I don't know, just to have gone to see it in theaters and say that I could have. Wreck-It Ralph, way up there for me. Ugh, God, yeah, I shouldn't have said top 5, because I think that Wreck-It Ralph might be in the top 5 for me. I've gone on and on about this. I'll keep it brief. Was ready to hate that movie because I was worried, oh man, Disney's making a video game movie. Can't wait for it to suck balls. Then as I was seeing more and more about it, I became absolutely obsessed with it. Was very excited to watch it. And I had the pleasure of getting to see it opening weekend while I was at a convention, Youmacon. And while I was there in theaters, it was a room full of video game and anime fans and Disney fans, and a lot of, at the time, some of my very closest friends. So the experience of seeing it is something that I'm very grateful for one thing, but also I do think that it's legitimately a fantastic movie. And I have gone back to rewatch it quite a few times because I think it's got great stuff to it. There are some things, and I'm not going to go on this whole thing because I believe I did make a Kirblog about this back in 2018 when Ralph Breaks the Internet was new. There are still legitimately things that I think that were done better thematically for the story in Ralph Breaks the Internet that Wreck-It Ralph didn't quite do, that were like a little frustrating to me. That I look back and I'm like, the point of this is kind of muddied a little bit, but it's so much fun, it's so entertaining, and it's made with such love that I give it a break. And it's still a very, very meaningful movie, and it's very well done, and I love it. And I hope that they do more with those characters someday, if they ever do another Ralph movie at some point, if there'd be anything that they could do with that. I would still like to see that at some point. Frozen. I think Frozen is fine. I think that actually I did a Frozen Kirblog, oh man, a very long time ago. Yeah, that was, oh my God, that was like, first of all, that was right before I moved to LA, for one thing. And that was when I think I was starting to do Kirblogs, like way forever ago. Excuse me, which is crazy to think. But I think it's fine. I think I wish that I'll just say this because I'm sure you can go back and find the Kirblog of that if you want to listen to it. I just I wish that it was more about Elsa, because I wanted it to be about the actual Snow Queen character, and I didn't care that much about Anna. That's just my own thought on that. I'll leave it at that. But otherwise, I think it's fine. I don't have that big of a hate boner for it. Big Hero 6. Okay, weirdly enough, I've only ever seen it once, and I thought it was a good movie. I've never gone back and rewatched it, and when I walked out of the theater, I was like, oh man, I would love for them to do like a series of this. And then they did, and I didn't watch it. I think I saw like a couple episodes of it on like a plane ride. I never followed it. So it's good. But it was not one of those like, oh yeah, I love this so much. It was, I don't know. It ended up like being a little more forgettable than I thought it was going to be. And, but it's still good. It's still good. I do like, the characters in it and stuff. But even admittedly, yeah, actually, even as I'm thinking about it, a lot of the story, I remember Sung Wan's joke about it's Johnson Smith. Remember him from the beginning of the movie? He's the bad guy. You know, I remember that twist being extremely lame, but shrug, whatever. Zootopia, I've also talked at length about. I think it's awesome. That said, I have been given a broadened perspective of it from people, because one of the big reasons why I liked it is because I thought that the message of it was incredibly powerful. And then it was pointed out to me by other people that the message about like race and prejudice and stuff of that movie could be kind of misconstrued in a bad way. And that kind of changed my view of the movie. But I still think that the story itself is great. And I love all the characters of it. And it's super funny and super clever. But I do think that it has lost some points for me a little bit because of that part of it that I thought was brilliant and I thought was like life-changing and world-changing. Because I when it came out of that movie spinning around like a Disney princess with how much it impacted me, it is probably top 5 for me. But my perspective on it has certainly been broadened. And I'm glad that I do know that, because I'd rather not be ignorant to things that I should be educated on when it comes to that sort of thing. And actually, I'll get to something else with that, with the last one on this list. In the meantime, Moana. Only seen Moana once. I thought it was fun. My little niece, Ruby, was obsessed with it. And I also don't know if she's actually seen the film. I think that she might just like know what it is. And just love the characters and the songs and stuff. But I think that at the time she was very young and the volcano bad guy might have been a little too scary for her. So I don't know if she's actually seen it before. But I do like it. I think it was a fun and interesting kind of little newer age Disney princess film. It was a fun time. Skipping over the Pixar stuff, even though there's a lot of good Pixar stuff with Coco and Incredibles 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet. I've done a Kirblog about this already. I'll link it. I think it's good. And I like what they did with the film. I like what they did with the story. I do agree. I wish that it was more video game stuff and not the internet. I get why they decided to go that route. So it's whatever. But I genuinely do think that it's a good film. If you want to go listen to my thoughts on that, I've done a Kirblog about that back when it was a new movie. Frozen 2, never seen it. I don't know it. People have talked about it to me before, but I've never seen it, and I'm not really all that interested in seeing it. Same with Raya and the Last Dragon. I don't really know anything about it, and nothing about it caught my eye. So I don't know. Maybe someday if I ever go through a bunch of the ones that I've never seen. Encanto, I watched, and I did enjoy. I don't see myself necessarily going back to it anytime soon. I did really like the music in it quite a bit. And the songs were very, very cute and fun. Sorry, I just realized something. I'm looking at the fact that, I thought Elemental, I keep forgetting which movies are Disney animation and which ones are Pixar. So I forgot that Elemental is a Pixar movie. I'll just say real quick, Elemental I loved, and I think that it did the prejudiced stuff better than Zootopia did. I think that that's what it has over it as a film. So, yeah, but Encanto was cute. I did like it when I watched that with my friend group a couple years ago when it was new at the time. And although other than we don't talk about Bruno, no, I couldn't tell you the lyrics to any of the other songs, unfortunately, even though they're great. And I did like the story of that. I liked that it didn't really have like a villain, and that it was more of just like a situational kind of like problem to solve, was more of like the enemy of the movie. I like that a lot. And I have not seen Strange World. And apparently it's decent, but same thing, it didn't really catch my eye, sad to say. So apparently in terms of upcoming stuff, there's going to be, let's see, a few more like untitled Disney movies that we don't know about yet. There will be more Frozen films, and there will be another Zootopia sequel, which is cool, and I'm happy to see that. Excuse me. To see that in the top running, Lion King is number 1, the original Lion King. No, hold on. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. I'm sad now. The quote unquote live action remake of Lion King is the top selling, highest grossing Disney movie of all time. Never mind, I'm sad. Okay, skipping down to number 8 and number 9. Zootopia and The Lion King are number 8 and number 9, the top selling Disney movies. You know what? Those are 2 of my big favorites. So I'll take that. I love that. Disney, I was in love with as a kid, fell out of love with as a teenager, and then kind of fell back in love with, fell back in love with in my 20s. And now I'm just sort of like, yeah, Disney, they're part of my life, and I enjoy some stuff that they do, not everything. And they're cool. That's kind of where I'm at with them. They have certainly provided me a ton of inspiration over the years that I'm very, very, grateful for, and very happy about that. I've gone on to do cool things in animation, probably because of the inspiration that I got from them, that I'm very glad about. But that's kind of how Disney has fit into my life for 35 years now, which I'm grateful for. Even warts and all and everything. I'm glad that I've grown up with these movies and these animations as well and all these kind of things. So I guess that's gonna do it. An hour and a half. This has been my longest Kirblog in quite a long time. But I will say, thank you guys for listening, and thank you again, Jacob Tucker, for recommending this for the monthly topic. I guess in the meantime, go ahead and in the comments below, let me know your favorite Disney movies and some of your thoughts on some of the ones that you grew up with over the years. What was your first Disney movie? What's your favorite Disney movie? What's your least favorite Disney movie? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And as I said before, if you have suggestions for future Kirblog topics, please consider joining my Patreon. If you are $3 a month, then you can suggest Kirblog topics just like these. If you're $10 a month, you can also join my Discord server, where I have folks in here that get to listen to me record these live. I currently have Vial Araragi and Julian Hobbs of our $10 patrons currently listening right now. And we do monthly Q&As as well, where I talk to folks in the Discord server if you're interested in joining that. And those of you who have seen Wish, tell me if it's worth watching, because I'm kind of curious, just because it's the 100th anniversary movie. But otherwise, let me know. I'm morbidly curious, but not curious enough yet to actually watch it. So let me know. I'd love to know your opinions. So thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been great. And thank you for continuing to support me while I've not been able to animate. I have some ideas of maybe some things I want to do in December. I'll get back to you on that. And I hope you continue to check out what I've got in store. And I've been enjoying Mario RPG Remake, or watching people play it, because I can't play it myself. Maybe that'll change soon. We'll see. And I'll give some health updates on some things soon enough as well. So thanks, everybody. Hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving, those of you who celebrate it. And hope you're looking forward to the holiday season coming up. And hopefully I'll have some good news coming up in the future. So take care, everyone.